Okay. Our final guest for the hour. And we are going to call them here in a few seconds and get them on with us. Corey Comfer, I believe is how you pronounce his name. So we shall see.
Hello.
And there's Corey. How are you, sir? It's James Lowe from iHeartRadio in the Mix calling you for your radio interview. How are you, man?
I'm great, James. It's great to be back on with you.
Yes, and we are going to be joined here in just a few moments by my co-host of the Sunday radio broadcast, the fabulous, talented, and always mouthy, witty broad, Jay Bird Wells. And I think I said that out of order, Jay. It's witty, mouthy broad, or is it mouthy, witty broad?
I don't know. You better include Princess if you want to be on my good side.
There we go. And we have got Corey Comfer with us today, and Corey is with us today to talk about a myriad of topics. His website is CoreyComfer.com, and that's CoreyKupfer.com. He's an expert strategist, deal maker, business consultant with more than 30 years of professional negotiating experience as a successful entrepreneur and attorney, easy for me to say. And GOP has a bill to ease Dodd-Frank, and it's very interesting. MSN reported this the other day. Speaker Paul Ryan said Tuesday that a House and Senate have struck a deal to pass the upper chamber's bipartisan bill to roll back strict financial rules enacted by former President Barack Obama. Tell us a little bit about this with this Dodd-Frank bill and how this could benefit the banks, how this could not benefit the banks. Give us all the details here, my friend.
Yeah, sure. So the first thing we need to recognize is that they've rolled back some stuff, but really the bigger stuff that the Republicans have wanted to roll back has not been rolled back yet. Now, I say yet because there's still talk that they'll present another bill later that will address some of the bigger items, but I think they decided to take the low-hanging fruit here where they were able to get 33 Democrats to agree. So some of the things that they've done is they've reduced the number of banks that fall into a category that is subject to heightened regulation, so what they call systematically important financial institutions. So these are the bigger banks and financial institutions and investment banks that when they passed Dodd-Frank, they deemed to have a systematic risk to the entire economy if things went bad. So they've upped the threshold for that definition from $50 billion in assets to $250 billion in assets. So that's reduced the number of banks covered from 38 to 12. So institutions like Charles Schwab, American Express, SunTrust are now no longer in that category. And what that means is they're no longer subject to heightened regulation and specifically the annual stress test that they've been put through to see how healthy they are. So that's probably one of the biggest things that's been changed. And then there are several others I can jump into if you want to. Yes,
go ahead and give us details on these, my friend. Break it all down for us.
So the other big one is that the so-called Volcker rule, which restricted depository institutions. So these are banks that take consumer deposits, your typical commercial banks, from engaging in certain proprietary trading and investments in hedge funds and private equity funds. So this is the type of trading that regulators deem to be more risky. And basically they said, hey, we don't want you gambling so much with customer deposits. And what they've done in this change is exempt banks from that rule, which have less than $10 billion in assets. So a lot of your smaller banks, your community banks, et cetera, the big guys are still subject to the Volcker rule, but they've exempted now banks that are less than $10 billion in assets. So that frees them up to do some of this. The interesting part is the smaller banks, it's the bigger banks that tend to do more of this. So, really this gets rid of a regulation that is applicable but less used by the smaller banks. The other big thing it does is on the mortgage lending side, and this helps the smaller banks as well, where it has exempted some of the smaller lenders from certain disclosures. So there became a bunch more paperwork on the Dodd-Frank in terms of disclosures for banks that were doing home mortgages. And most of that was an attempt to get data to expose discrimination and redlining, which unfortunately has continued, even into recent times. As is, I think, pretty consistent with what the Trump organization, the Trump administration has done in other regulatory areas, is pulled back on this gathering of data, which would give insight into discrimination and redlining. So that takes the burden off the smaller banks. But, on the flip side, allows for potentially some of the redlining abuses that have happened in the past. So those are the big items. There's a small item they did in terms of consumers where, when there's a hack, some of the credit agencies were charging them $10 to get their credit frozen. The bill said, no, you can't charge people in that situation. So that's a small thing for consumers. So those are the things that's really covered. What's not covered on the bigger items that I alluded to before is the higher capital requirements required for banks to hold. There's still emergency government powers to step in if there's a crisis. There's still curbs on derivatives, and they didn't touch, interestingly, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was definitely a target of the Trump administration. They haven't touched that one yet.
Now, Corey, give me your take on what your thoughts on, a lot of liberals and a lot of progressives are mad as hell that this is being rolled back, and they have a lot of concerns that this is going to enable the banks to do all sorts of things that led us to the last financial crisis. What do you say to those folks?
Well, I think, frankly, these changes are the biggest banks with a systematic risk are still covered, right? We've dropped it down from 38 to 12. So I guess it depends on whether you think if American Express, for example, went out, it would be a systematic risk. I think it would be a big hit. But it's not like if Chase and Citi and Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch went down and was still covered. So I think these changes are more around the edges. I do think there's some risk, additional risk for abuse, but I think that the changes that the Republicans want to make the next go around, which is reducing the capital requirements and maybe relieving even the top 12 banks from some of these requirements. I think those are the ones that I think there's a stronger argument create some systematic risk, and I would have more concerns about.
Without naming any details, can you name describe your worst negotiation?
My worst negotiation. Wow. So I would say, okay. So there was a situation that I had where there were several parties involved, and let me just say the risk negotiations are always where people let emotion take over, and they don't step back and make logical business decisions. So I had one situation where literally the other attorney was banging the table, physically banging the table, and it got so unhinged. And this is the attorney. This is not the client. And the attorney is the one who's supposed to be objective in trying to achieve the client's objective and move the deal forward. And he got so unhinged that it was frankly embarrassing, and and he wasn't serving his client.
So, without naming any details, what about your best negotiation?
So I had a deal with let's call it some people in the financial services industry. They had they managed billions of dollars in money for people. They had made a move to another firm, which was a bad move for them. It was just a bad move. Their clients weren't being well served. There were promises that were made for them that they that weren't fulfilled, and we were able, but they had signed really bad legal agreements. I hadn't been representing them when they did that deal. They had signed really bad legal agreements, so they had given away the rights to their clients. They couldn't solicit them. Now, mind you, they got a check for about $10 million, so we don't feel so bad there. But they really cared about their clients and they wanted to get out. So we had to design a very intricate strategy where we had a backup where they would have ended up in a major litigation, but we were able to guide them through and have them and also, by the way, they were very emotional to start with. So we had to calm them down. We had to have them think logically. We had to have them get to where their goals were, and we were able to extract them from this institution, and they were able to go out on their own, take their clients, and continue to service them to this day. So that was a great result.
What do you hope the reader gets out of your book?
So the core of the difference between what's in my book around negotiating and what I teach in workshops and speeches is that negotiating is an internal game. See, most of the other books and training out there around negotiating are around tactics and counter-tactics, right? If they do this, you do this. And then there's always a counter-tactic to the counter-tactic. Well, a lot of those tactics and counter-tactics are manipulative. Some of them are fine. Some of them are actually, useful. But what I say is, if you don't do the internal work to get clarity, to be 100% clear on exactly what you want and don't want in negotiation, which is amazing how many people don't do. And you can't stay attached to the outcome. The best negotiators are always attached. They're equally fine if the deal closes or it doesn't close. So they won't do a deal that's a bad deal. And they maintain their equilibrium. They stay calm. So if you can do that internal work and not get into places of fear, ego, scarcity, anger, that's when you're going to be a great negotiator, and that's what my book focuses on.
So the moral of the story is stay in school and learn chess.
Well, I would say the moral of the story is do the internal work to get self-awareness, and then learn the chess moves on top of that.
Once again, you want to give us the name of your book and how to find you on social media?
Yes.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, so the book is called Authentic Negotiating, which could be picked up on Amazon or anywhere else online. My website is CoreyKupfer.com, and they can get the book through there. They could also complete a quiz to find out whether they're an authentic negotiator. They'll give them an immediate result in 5 minutes. And all my socials are at Corey Kupfer. So it's on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. It's all at Corey Kupfer.
Cool.
Well, I'll tell you, Corey, you have got a great background here with this, and I appreciate you making time for us today. We've got a little bit of time before we've got to go. I want to get your thoughts on another story that's out there. China is threatening to strike back with a possible trade war. I know a lot of people are talking about North Korea these days, but what do you make as a expert strategist and everything about this potential situation with the trade war?
Well, so it's interesting. It seems to be easing a bit. I mean, there are definitely some behind-the-scenes negotiations going on. Trump took a very tough position with China, and China is not the kind of, if you study Chinese culture and history and et cetera, there's a lot of pride there, and it's not surprising to me that they didn't shrink, back, that they struck back, hard. There's a lot of rhetoric going back and forth. So the biggest risk is, the farmers, they're really hitting back where they can, which is in farming. Soybeans are a big area where they're saying they're going to put tariffs on, and that could really hurt the farmers, especially if Trump doesn't get back into TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, because that would have benefited the farmers as well. Now, having said that, there's already been discussions behind the scenes, meetings, and even talks about some resolution on this, with China giving some concessions around intellectual property protection, which frankly they were moving towards anyway, and greater access to their markets. So I think it's going to end up resolving itself. I think this is a pretty typical Trump negotiating approach, which is to take a super strong line up front to try to get leverage, and then work behind the scenes to get smaller concessions and then declare victory.
We've got Corey Kupfer with us today. He joins us live here in our broadcast. And Corey, what do the folks on social media that you've talked to think about some of the different topics and everything that's out there on social media? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, so, in addition to listen, obviously, a lot of people are talking about the upcoming election because, that could change, a lot of stuff. I think people are still trying to figure out some of the impacts of the new tax law change, especially business people, and this 20% deduction for certain, pass-through entities, which doesn't apply to people like me who are lawyers who sell our expertise. So there's some stuff going on around that. I think that obviously, listen, the whole Russia thing is not going to go away until the investigation's finished. And I would love to see on that people to separate the impact, of the Trump organization from whether, and I think it's clear that Russia interfered, because I think we should all be concerned, no matter what side you're on, if we have a foreign power interfering in our elections. And so I think that continues to be hot. Those are some of the things I'm saying.
Now, Corey, before we let you go, how do we get a hold of you online, my friend?
So again, it's the website's CoreyKupfer.com, CoreyKupfer.com. That's the hub. You can get anywhere from there. But I'm at Corey Kupfer on LinkedIn, and do a lot there, Facebook, Twitter, I'd love to be able to connect with any of your listeners that I can give the information to. That'd be great.
Well, thank you, my friend. And Jay, before we let you go for this week here on our Memorial Day edition of our program, how do we get a hold of you, my friend?
Well, first off, for Memorial Day, thank you for your service, every veteran out there. Find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, International Movie Database. Look up JAEBYRD Wells, and my website is whattheheckhecc.com.
Awesome. Well, Corey, I appreciate it. And Jay, we will talk to you next week. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Corey, and thank you, Jay. And there they go. And we are going to take a brief time out. I got to get them commercials in, as they say. Got to get the gimmicks in, as they say. And we will be back to wrap things up here in a few moments.
Attention, this is a public